Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Lots of people coming in
Hi, good
tonight.
evening.
Oh,
Hello.
oh, no, I don't want to. Otherwise, it's backlit.
Okay.
Uh,
Hi guys, it's
Oh,
gonna be
look,
two of you
Anna's
today.
here. Anna's here in the dark.
Ah,
Hey,
oh,
Dagmar.
Hi.
Hi,
Hey, Farah.
how you doing?
I'm
Sorry
doing
I
good.
missed this morning.
This morning was great. Very,
Yeah,
very nice.
I'll catch up. I'll do them. I'll do them during the day. I usually catch up and do
Yeah,
them afterwards, so
cool.
be good.
Hey, Rick, how's it going?
Oh, good.
First live class.
Yeah.
Sanya Weber? Sanya Weber.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
What? Do I know you?
Um, Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
But I don't know. But you pronounced my name correctly, so I'm very impressed.
Correctly, did you say?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So who are you? Do you practice this stuff or other stuff or
Yeah, I'm based in the UK, so I practice Japanese martial arts,
okay.
which is sword fighting.
Oh,
So we do some kind of exercises based on Qigong, maybe a bit of Tai Chi, but uh, I really wanted to know a little bit more about Tai Chi and how I can use it to help my practice,
cool.
uh,
All right.
martial arts practice, but also because I'm just really, really, the little I know, the very little I know, I really love, you
Oh,
know.
nice.
Um, yeah, but I'm totally clueless. So,
Okay.
so,
Well, this is a good place to start because
so you'll have to
this
forgive me.
class
Yeah.
and Thursday evening is like from scratch, two of our main forms, one of the faster forms, one of the slower forms. So that should give you a nice little introduction grounding in at least the form part. Obviously, if you practice Taiji properly, you've got to learn the partner exercises as well, all the drills and the fighting
Yeah,
aspects.
yeah,
But we can't do that online. So
yeah. Thanks for the recordings. I'll watch them when I get a minute. I'll
yeah,
watch them all.
yeah, cool. Sounds good. Oh,
Hmm.
look, we've got New Zealand coming in as well. Hello, Kate.
Hello,
Good to see you.
morning. Yeah, it is really nice to be here.
Kate's one of our instructors in New Zealand on the South Island.
There's a few of us in here.
Oh, yeah?
Well, not in the meeting, but in the
Oh,
South
no, no,
Island.
you
Yeah,
just mean a few of us here, yeah. Yeah, we've got a good
yeah.
turnout tonight. Nice turnout of people that can make the live time. I think this time seems to work well for people, the 8 o'clock evening session. Not too bad for the Australians and the Kiwis. So let's get into it, shall we?
Mhm.
absolutely.
So just
All right. We are in frame. That will do. We are recording. Yes. Okay. So as usual, we're just going to get our bodies moving first, do a nice warm up, and then get into the learning of the small sensor. You want to stand over here to warm up? You look a bit cold. You need to warm up. Okay. Let's get our bodies moving. Spinal warm up. In breath. Pull your shoulders back, push your chest forward, stick your bum out, look up to the ceiling, bend your knees, everything pulling back as far as you can. And then breathe out and reverse that principle, folding your arms in front, tucking your pelvis, putting your head down, rounding your shoulders. And then breathe in, reverse it again. Pushing your elbows and your palms back and breathe out. Trying to get as much spinal movement as you possibly can. But of course, listen to your own body and don't strain yourself. Relax back to neutral. Hinge forward from your hips, keeping your back nice and straight, just sinking down, down, just to where it's comfortable for you. If you can get your body down to 90 degrees, that's great. And then relax your spine. So let your spine totally round and hang down, and then straighten it. Just engaging all those muscles through your back, and then relaxing your spine. This time, do the same thing, but lift your hands out to the sides, squeezing your shoulder blades together, thumbs up to the ceiling. Relax back down, and this time similar thing, but lift your hands up in front of your body, out like a Y shape, like that. So sort of out towards the corners in front of your head. Then relax your body down, and then from the lower spine, you're going to roll your spine up and breathe out at the top. Just a couple more of those. Open up and close. Open and close. Open and close. Relax back to neutral. Sink down, straight spine. Give yourself a little bit of a stretch through your hamstrings just to wake that area up through here. Relax the spine. Let your head hang, let your spine just sag down. And then straighten your spine, lift your hands out to the sides. On an in-breath, relax your spine, breathe out. Breathe in, lift your palms up to 45 degrees either side of your head. In-breath, and relax down, breathe out. This time, lift your hands up like your biceps are touching your ears. So nice and tight, straight in front of you. And relax. And then roll up. Pull your shoulder blades back. And relax. Throw your hands up to the sides. So I'm not being rude standing in front of Fran. It's just there's a chin-up bar here, and I can't hit that when I'm lifting my arms up, and we're in a bit of a small space. We've got a normal British house, so we don't have a massive training space here when we're teaching in the evenings. So what we're going to do here, just parallel shoulder width feet. You're going to lift your hands out to the sides. Even now I'm going to hit the bar, in fact. Out to the sides, back, 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 up, up, up. Stretching through your chest, reaching up to the ceiling. Stand onto the balls of your feet. Push your ankles all the way up, reaching as high as you possibly can. And then push your palms down through the center as you lower back to your heels. Again, breathing in. Pulling it up, up, up. Chest is pushing up, but your pelvis is tucking under. Standing onto the balls of your feet, looking up, and breathing out. Let's get our legs warmed up. Take one elbow to the opposite knee, okay? Stand back up, other elbow to the opposite knee. Remember, you don't have to go all the way down to the knee. If you find you've got a sore back or whatever, you're not so fit, just tilt down to where it's comfortable. So you still feel a bit of an engagement through the glutes, through the legs, through the lower back and so on, but not so extreme. Of course, if you can touch that knee, great. Notice the other hand is just pushing out to the rear, squeezing the shoulder blade towards the spine of that rear arm. Breathing. In-breath as you stand up, out-breath as you sink down. Your weight is going towards that knee that you're touching. So my weight is in my left leg, and then my weight is in my right leg. You really want to focus here on getting your glute engaged, your bum. Got to get these glute muscles firing when they're supposed to fire. And back to neutral. Take a forward lunge, nothing too extreme. just like so. Just wriggle your body around in this position. So you've got one bent knee at the rear, like so. Both knees are bent, in fact. You're pushing and flexing that rear toe, bobbing up and down, opening your waist. Just wriggle, just move. Move as much as you can around these hips here. So you're waking up the joints, moving side to side, stretching and relaxing through that rear hip. You'll feel the thigh muscles warming up, the glutes warming up through here. And switch legs. Same thing, stretching and activating all your muscles. Again, listen to your own body. Don't push too hard into things. If you've got any kind of problems with your body. Take a front stance here, just stand to the front. Take a step back, like so. Drop your knee to the floor. Stand back up. Come forward. Take the other foot back. Drop your knee to the floor and up. You're keeping your weight. That is barely touching the ground. There's a little bit of touch on there, of course, but I'm not putting my weight back like this, you see. I'm keeping the pressure on that front glute when I'm doing that movement, you see. Keeping the weight forward on that front leg. Keeping my body upright as I'm doing it. So you should feel most of the pressure on that glute of the front leg. Quads, of course, will be getting heated up now. A little bit of side to side, and then we'll get into some small Sansa. Take a wide stance, about double shoulder width. How wide, you'll learn to feel exactly where that should be for your own level, how low you're going to go and so on. If you're down in the posture, you feel it needs to be a bit longer, just shuffle your feet out. If you find it's too long and you're feeling like you're out like this, well, just suck them back in again. Listen to your body, read your own what you're doing. So from here, you're going to turn one foot out, take that elbow down to that knee. The other leg stays straight. Stand back up, turn the foot in, turn the foot out, take the other elbow down to that knee. Again, this leg stays straight. Back up, turn it in, turn it out, drop it down. Notice that I'm staying facing the front. I'm not closing the body like this. I'm staying open, so it is a side lunge, not a front lunge. Back up. Again, you might just go to here, maybe. Maybe you don't go all the way down to touch the elbow on the knee. But if you can get all the way down, very nice. You'll feel all these different muscles through the side of the glute engaging, through the groin here, through the inner hamstrings. So, of course, postures, movements like that to get your legs warmed up, that's training you for your postures like your single whip, your squatting single whip in your Taiji form. Exact same leg movement, only we're adding in the hands, adding in all the other postures when we're doing the Taiji form. So we're just getting the strength side of things happening. Okay, it's the evening. You've probably all been moving around quite a lot today, I hope. And we've already done a little bit of a warm-up. So we always do a longer warm-up in the morning sessions because, you wake up 6 a.m. in the morning, your body needs it. You need to wake up a bit more. Whereas in the evening time or the afternoon, you'll tend to find that you're already quite warm. Where's my microphone? Like I am now, having to take my jacket off. Or at least undo it to start with. Get on there, you little... Okay, so what we're going to start practicing now is the small Sansa. Since we have a limited amount of time on an online class like this, I'm not going to ramble on for 20 minutes about what the small Sansa is, why we practice it, where it came from, who's made changes to it, where did I learn it from, all that sort of history stuff and that technical stuff that you can read in a book. We're just going to get straight into the training side of things. I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch and the different layerings of how you should work through the form. Okay, I'm assuming, of course, everyone who's following this, you've probably already had some interest in what we practice, so you've probably already been doing some reading. However, if anyone watching this, anyone who's following, if we finish the session and you're like, what is the small Sansa? Why am I doing this? Why am I learning this form? Then by all means, write to me, make a comment on the video, on the YouTube video, if you're watching this on YouTube. And those of you following live, of course, you can ask questions at the end of the video or send me an email, whatever you like. So yeah, just whatever you do, don't sit there in the dark wondering why when you can just ask me, okay? So ask the question. Okay, so small Sansa. The first thing we do is learn to connect the center, the whole extremities of the body connecting into the center. So the very first lesson of small Sansa is simply to pull up your pants a little bit so that your students can see your feet. Parallel shoulder width feet to start. Okay, body is nice and relaxed. All we're going to do is turn this center to the corner. Sink your weight down through your rear leg as you do that. Then turn this to the other corner and sink your weight to the other rear leg. Your rear leg, of course, changes each time. So my weight now is about 90% in that back foot. There's a little bit of balance control in the front foot. You'll notice that as I turn my center, the feet pivot on the heels. So it's whomp. So you've got to do it with some momentum. It's not a slow, controlled movement. That becomes very unbalanced if you try to do that. It's just swish. It's a swish to the other side. Up. So the balls of your feet are only off the ground just for a split second. Up, and then straight back down again. You never really shift your weight backwards to do it. You just da-da. If I pick up the balls of my feet from this position, watch. I'll fall forward eventually because, of course, even though the weight's in my heel, when your weight is balanced, your weight is in your heel, but there's some pressure in the balls of the feet. Your weight's not always sitting back on the rear part of the heel like I am now. I'm unbalanced now. So your weight normally is about 80% in the heels, maybe 20% in the toes, something like that. So when we shift, there's that 20% of weight. It's kind of like if I'm here like this, I've got a bit of weight in that front foot, I can pick it up and put it down. Pick it up and put it down. I don't have to sit back to pick up that foot. Same thing with the toes here. Just go boom, boom. See, I've got that much time up before I start falling, you see, falling forward. So up and then put them back down. Just turn as you do it. Up, boom, and then they're back into fall. Gripping back down into the ground. Up, down. Swish. Whoop. Swish across. You don't do this with your hands. I'm just doing a little funny dance with my hands to represent what my toes are doing. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'll stop it, shall I? Your upper body in the beginning, just completely loosen it. Be careful if you're in a small room and you've got guitars hanging up. You don't break anything, or a wife, smack her in the face. But relax your upper body. So for now, we're not using any structure in the upper body. You're just letting your arms swing around from that movement of your center. You see, feel the center twist. The legs are kind of a little bit, at the moment, they're structured. The legs, it's like I'm holding a structure in the legs. So when my center turns, the feet, you see, come with me directly. They don't kind of get, left behind like that or something. They come with my body directly. But for now, the upper body is just going to stay nice and loose. The arms in particular. So I'm just letting the body throw around, feeling that sensation of the center line throwing your arms around. So it's a gross exaggeration of centered connection to your palms. Of course, you would never move like this in any kind of fighting application. This is just to get this idea of the center. The arms are not doing anything at all. Nothing. I'm not holding. See, I'm not doing it. As soon as I start doing a technique with the hands, if I'm a beginner, if someone's starting from scratch, as soon as all of a sudden the arms take over and they start doing this kind of thing, and all the power, all the movement comes from the shoulders. So, first lesson, relax. Relax your shoulders. Keep your body nice and upright. Keep your pelvis tucked under, just like you would in your slow form, you see? So I'm not sticking my bum out like this. Keep your pelvis engaged here. Keep your core engaged. So you're pushing that under to keep a nice, strong stance, a strong core, particularly as you turn to the other side. So squeeze here. Squeeze it. Don't just squeeze across, but squeeze up to tuck as you twist. And that keeps everything squeezed in and everything's engaged, okay? Notice the body is staying upright. I'm not, for example, leaning backwards or leaning forwards or anything like that. I'm just twisting my body, keeping that tucked under. A very common thing is to stick your bum out and then tuck it back in. Stick your bum out and then tuck it back in. Don't do that. Squeeze it under. I'm relaxed here. When I'm in this position, at the end of the turn, my body's just relaxed. My core is nice and soft, okay? When I turn, I'll feel this whole region in here go, sort of squeeze up and contract as I turn my body. That turns my feet. Then the body kind of relaxes on the end of the movement, you see? So squeeze, tension, twist, and relax. Those of you who have been doing small Sansa for a while, you'll know that the hands even do the same thing. Once we add the hand movement in for that first posture, so the whole body relaxes on the end of that posture. Even if we're just doing this very basic part before we even add the hands, you still contract, and then let your belly, particularly this region, this whole area here, which is contracting in to create the movement, is just going to relax on the end. And relax. And relax. And relax. And relax. Relax. Squeeze, relax. Squeeze, relax. It's all about repetition, momentum. You need to just do it over and over and over. This element of your small Sansao is the foundation of the form. I will teach you the hand movements tonight as well, just of the first two postures at least. But don't take away from this. Don't think, oh, I want to learn this, 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 I want to learn all the postures. No, you've got to get your foundation right first. Feel this twisting. Squeezing and relaxing. Squeezing and relaxing. Now, I don't know if you've noticed yet or not. It should be happening instinctively. But I like to mention some things which should happen instinctively. Sometimes they don't, okay? So it depends on who you are. So most of you are probably already doing this movement relatively correctly, okay? But some of you may be doing this. Now, on a video like that, it's a subtle difference. I'm not sure if you can actually tell the difference, so I'll break it down and show it to you. What I don't want you to do is, or rather what I do, let's go over what I do want you to do. The weight shift. Obviously, I have to shift my weight to my other leg. Yeah, I've already told you that. You've got to shift your weight to your other leg as you turn the body. But the weight shift starts the movement. There's a very small amount of weight that starts that movement before, see that? And then see where the turn happens. It's not like exactly connected, waist and weight at the same time. Some movements are, depending on what technique you're practicing. Sometimes you will shift and turn. Other times you'll turn and shift all together in one motion, depending on what's happening in the application. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to show, I came up with a nice little training method for this today, actually. I've never tried it before, so I'll test it out on you guys. To give you the idea of how subtle this little weight shift forward is, because we also don't want anyone doing this. See, that's breaking it into two movements. Weight shift, then turn. We don't want two movements. It's still one move. Look at my center. But there's that little, just that little shift before the center really fully engages and starts to twist. But then the weight, of course, it's only gone 20% across, so there's still a very large weight shift as the center is turning. So try this. I want you to sit back into your rear foot. We've turned to the corner. Now, normally we'd be sitting here in this position at about 90% in the back leg. That would be how you would do the posture. So I've got 10% roughly in the front leg. I want you to sit all the way back to the point where there is no weight in that front leg at all. Okay, now stand there, put the foot on the ground, but completely empty. Like there's no, look, see my body, no, I put body weight into it. There's no body weight whatsoever in that front foot. Now try and turn your center exactly at the same time as shifting your weight. Right, so, no, I've already started shifting my weight. I'm going to turn my center exactly the same time as I shift my weight. See, and then same thing on the other side. Sit your weight all the way back so there is absolutely nothing in that front foot. And then shift your weight at the same time as turn. It feels horrible, right? It should feel very unnatural to do that. When you have all your weight in your back leg like that, okay, you can't move properly from that position. So the first thing your body should want to do, if you have any kind of concept of issuing power through your body, from that position, your body kind of, it's screaming like, no, I want to go over there first. I need some traction in that front foot before I can really engage that twist. It's like you need some connectivity from both legs to engage that twist properly. So now feel that sensation. So sink all the weight back and feel that urge. Can I turn from here? Oh, I can, but it feels awkward. It feels weird. But if I just there, just 20%, that's how my body wants to do the move. A little bit of a shift, and then the turn comes through. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then take away the fact that I said 100% back. Go back to the proper correct position of roughly 90%. So you've already got some weight, but you should still feel that urge to kind of be like, oh yeah, it feels like I'm going to get more substance, more power, rather than thinking turn altogether. It feels a bit robotic almost. So just a little bit of pressure, and then turn into the other side. Little bit of pressure, and then turn. But again, it's got to feel like one movement. I don't want you going like this or something. That's two separate movements. It's like, see, look what's happening in the eyes. Look at my eyes. My eyes are relaxed. My head is relaxed. When I do that first little turn, what happens? Oh, see that? My head turned a little. My eyes looked out here. Because what that's representing from a fighting point of view, as I've always said, the small Sansa is a training method. It's a form. It's not a fighting technique as such, but it's still teaching you a lot of fundamental principles, which will then pass over into your fighting, your sparring training, your spatial awareness for street fighting and things like that, for self-defense. So let's say I'm standing here. I feel something coming at me from that side of my head. Like there's a woman standing over here. It's great having my wife joining in with classes. Now I can show you applications while we practice. So the small Sansao, it's kind of that idea that your hands are starting here. And you're throwing your hands up from an unawares position. You're not in a ready position. The first move of the small Sansao starts with your hands down by your thighs. So you've felt, you've seen out the corner of your eye or something, you're standing here chatting to your mate, whatever, having a drink. Something's coming from that side. I don't want to turn straight into it because I'll be too close. I'm going to be caught off guard. The first thing my body wants to do when it feels that is, oh shit, I want to go over here. I want to go this way. I want to get away from that huge, big powered force coming in at me. Totally different, of course, if I'm standing here ready, okay? oh, this woman's going to attack me. Oh, maybe I'll crush her down and stomp on that power. By stopping that power before it is even generated, that's a good way of jamming it up. So that's another way of dealing with things. But from an unawares position, it's unlikely that you will be in a position to be boom, on top of her like that. Okay, so from an unawares position, you've got to be evasive. Something's coming in at you, you got to get away, give yourself some space, or you will be knocked out. So just very slowly there's the strike coming through. Whoa. So that's me going, oh no, oh, hang on, what's happening? And then I throw my hand out, strike her in the neck, and strike her down the arm with my next move. So that's what's happening there. Thank you, darling. From an intent point of view, you see, I'm going, oh, you see? See how the waist has already engaged. It's not like I'm going, nothing's happening, you see? Shifting the weight, no, when I shift the weight, it's, you see? That's the kind of like the moment that I've been startled. The moment my body's going, what's going to happen? Is someone's going to try to punch me in the head kind of thing. But I haven't actively started doing anything yet. I haven't started generating force or putting my guard into a position yet because my eyes are just, that's my analyzing what's happening. Then my hands are kind of, okay, I've sensed something's up here, so my hands throw up and I come into that next movement. Of course, if it was something else from that position, maybe it was the other hand, maybe it was down here, you know, and then you can change it and adapt into what's happening in the situation. So try now to repeat that movement, but just with that idea that there's that little movement. The eyes lighten up, you see? The head tilts a little bit to that side, before the twist comes through. You'll feel this little squeeze. The squeeze happens as that little weight shift happens. And then the turn happens afterwards. Engage, twist. Engage, get married. I'm such a lucky guy. My wife, she still laughs at my jokes after 10 years. I think it's genuine, pretty sure. I think most of the time she's just laughing at me, but you know. Okay, now what I want you to do is as you do that little movement, that little tiny shift, when your body kind of gets ready to do what it's got to do, your front hand will call, well, okay, so if I'm facing this way, that's my started position, or if I'm facing this way, right? So I'm facing this way, so it's going to be my left hand if my left foot's forward. So we'll call that my front hand, even though they're both down by my side, yeah? If I had my hands up, that would be my front hand. So that hand, as I do that little movement, watch what the hand's going to do. Huh? You see? It's just tucking in, like you're drawing a gun off its holster, kind of thing like that. Just sliding up your leg a little bit, tucking. The elbow is tucking. I'm starting to turn, see how the fingers are pointing forwards? And then I'm going to drive my fingers straight forward into his neck, like so. Then drop the hand. Same thing on the other side. See you there? Just on that first little movement, the hand, just like the center, just like everything else, it's all loading in, preparing for what's going to happen. The elbow is tucking, the hand is tucking in. Then as the turn happens, you extend your arm. So we get that kind of thing. And drop. For now, just bring your other hand into guard. Don't worry about doing something with it right now, but also don't just leave it down by its side because that feels very awkward. It feels very disconnected to be doing something with one hand and the other hand's lanky down the side. So as I strike with my right hand, you see, I just bring the other hand to guard and then drop both hands, completely relaxing everything just like we were doing earlier without the hands. And again, striking out with those fingers, drop. Notice it's a downward spiral. See, the hand comes up like that with the thumb sort of facing upwards, and then the hand spirals over. Those of you who already know this form, yes, this is not the full strike yet. It's a knife edge strike, but we start the strike with a finger jab. There's a very important reason for this. I'll tell you later. Tuck it in, jam the fingers forward, drop, tuck, drive it forward, tuck, drive it forward. Your eyes Look at my, I don't know, you probably can't see my eyes on a Zoom call, but my eyes are looking here to the front, not my head. You never turn your head like this off your shoulders. I shouldn't say never, you do it sometimes in certain situations, but as a general rule, if possible, keep your head lined up with your shoulders. I mean, you know, there's a sort of 10 to 20 degree give or take margin there. It doesn't have to be exactly in alignment, but it should not be like this. You do not want your head fully extended to one side. You get punched there, you're going to really damage your neck. You see, you've got no give from that side. You want it in the middle, so when you do get hit, you've got some sway either side to roll with that punch, because you will get hit in a real fight. So strike, drop, strike, drop, 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 drop. Obviously breathing out as you just do the movement. Roughly speaking, your feet kind of get there at the same time as your hand strikes. If I'm being pedantic about it, your feet get there a split second before your hand gets there, okay? So you want your feet planted. You want your feet grounded at the point of impact. We don't want our feet moving like I'll just give myself a target here. I haven't got a bag yet. It's coming tomorrow. We've just moved. This is our new house, by the way. We've moved into our new place, so I haven't got a kick bag yet. But if I strike that, I don't want to be kind of on the move when I hit it. It's more likely that it knocks me over, you see? So I want to be feet on the ground, sort of da-da. The kids are asleep upstairs. Stop making so much noise, Fran. So, yeah, the feet have to hit the ground like da-da, you see? So the feet get there just a split second before the fingers reach their apex, okay? So you're not trying to get boom, like exactly boom. That it just feels awkward to try to do that. There's a little water, you see? But look at the movement. If someone was watching me, they'd just say, oh yeah, he's swiveling and striking at the same time. If you see this, wrong, completely wrong. You've totally separated those two movements. It means I've twisted, I've already issued all my force. The center has turned, it's finished. Now it's just an arm movement. So the arm must be extending as the body is turning. It's just that it gets there, as I say, just a split second after the feet get there. Now, this hand that you're bringing up into your guard, like so, this other hand that's not really doing anything at the moment, instead of just bringing it into your guard, you're going to strike with that hand as well. But it's going to strike backwards instead of forwards. Okay, so it's, imagine I'm going to strike Fran, boom, straight in the face, that way. I'm hitting backwards with that arm, because that's your defense. It's the attack on his wrist, okay? So I'm striking down the arm. Most important, give us your arm for a second, Fran. So she's swinging a punch at me this way, right? I'm not stopping her like that. If she's a really big guy, that's force on force. I won't be able to do that. Like when I throw the punches at Fran, and she does it like that with force on force, if she makes a mistake, ooh, it feels like it's going to go through. When she does it correctly, it hurts my arm and it doesn't go through. So that arm is there, and I'm, you see? I'm exaggerating at the moment. Whoa. But see where the power is going. It's brushing down her arm, so it's taking the energy away from her hand, causing her force to travel around my body. Obviously, in application, I'm not going to go past where her hand is. I'm trying not, I don't want to hit Fran too hard here, but boom, you see, it's just that much. There's the brush. Don't go so far that you're open, because of course, if she do it this side, if you throw a feint and then another one, and I go, of course, then I'm completely open to her second punch if she's thrown a feint. Whereas if she throws a feint, I'm still here. Now she's going to have to go around my arm, in which case I've got more time to do my work. Of course, the feint shouldn't really work that well because even though I'm blocking with this hand, I'm striking at the same time. So whether she throws a feint or not, I'm still attacking her. So she's got a lot to think about. She's going to have to defend that, in which case I can come through with something afterwards. Okay, so your blocking, we'll call it the blocking hand, even though it's not really a block. You're attacking his arm, you're striking his arm, but just so you don't get the two hands confused, we'll call it the blocking hand and the striking hand, okay? So it's going to lift up like so with a yin state. Most of you should know the yin state and the yang state of the palms. It's going to lift up with the yin state, and it will start to lift again with that very small little preparation, that little shift into the front leg. And then as your body turns, it just flings out like so, right in front of your face. Don't drop it down here to shoulder height. You'll get hit in the face like that. Keep it right up here at facial height like so. But just make sure that the twist of your body is pulling that arm back. So you feel the power of that arm traveling backwards. But of course, it stops somewhere here, roughly towards the corner. Your palm, or your fingers rather, at this point, my fingers, if I face you, let's see, if I started to the corner, in which case I'd be something like this, my fingers would be on my center line, right between my nipples there, okay? It's not across the center like that with the hand on the center. It's a little bit open, like so, but definitely don't do this. Don't let your arm travel further than your body. Keep your arm, you see, it's here, right in front of my center. As I said before, I don't want it out here because then I'm open to follow-up attacks. Let's try that now all together. Fingers forward. See that? That's the attack. One is pulling back. Just the natural look. Just let your arms do what the shoulders want them to do. That's the main thing we're learning from this posture. Aside the fact that whether it's a good or a bad technique, that's irrelevant. It's a good technique in the right context. Most people call it I was going to swear then, but most people call it a not very street-worthy fighting tactic. Only because they don't understand when and where it should be used. Yes, in most situations, you shouldn't be using such a big open hand position. You'd be much better off keeping it much closer, this kind of thing. I'm not going to go into too much of that now because I'm just trying to teach the form. But there are very specific situations where that type of structure will work very effectively. But the main thing we're learning here is how to connect the hands to the center in the most natural way possible for any given movement. So rather than just sort of, you know, boom, 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 really simple stuff like that, how can I get power in both arms at the same time? Well, if to do that, they have to be one going one direction and one going the other direction. I can't push them forward at the same time, can I? Actually, I can, but that's another story. Totally different body mechanic. With a twisting action, one hand is coming back. You see that? There's that splitting action. Look, see, it's splitting. The front hand is going forward. The rear hand is pulling backwards, like so. Then we drop. And again, strike out. There's that split. The hands are practically striking at the same time. Just like the hand timing with the feet, technically speaking, the blocking hand hits a nanosecond before the striking hand, but to begin with, it's okay just to think of them as shooting up together. Same as I said about the feet, to the hands timing, I do not want to see anyone doing this. See that? Now the hands are totally separated from one another. If they're separated from one another, that means one of your hands is separated from the center, because the center is only turning one movement. For the hands to be separate, boom, boom, the center has to turn one way and then the other way for two separate punches. If I'm doing one turn of my center, I have to do one movement with my arms. Bang. So the hands have to be done together. Now, have a look at this blocking hand. Look at the straight shape. When it's cutting back, it's a yang shape. I really want to get this little area here called the pisiform bone, right? That little knobbly bit just in there, like so, and it's cutting back, you see, like that. If you make the hand a little bit more flat, kind of like that, instead of like this, you end up hitting with the heel palm or the underside of the wrist or something like that. It's much softer. It's much gentler to him. Less strength in it from your point of view, less structural strength to stop him from collapsing you in, but mainly you're not going to hurt him as much. He's chucking a punch at you. You want to hurt him as much as possible. Of course, if Fran attacks me and she's, I don't know, having a bit of a bad day or something, I'm going to use something gentle like this. But on that note, if Fran and I are practicing, right, you should not practice. If Fran's throwing punches at me, I don't do it gently because I'm programming my body to do the wrong movement. And I'm going, oh, I don't want to hurt Fran's arm. No, I'm going to hurt Fran's arm. Boom, I'm going to do it properly. If she can't take it, usually she can because she's been training for quite some time now. But if I want to go a bit harder because I am a lot bigger than Fran, rather than doing it softer with my hand, I will put arm guards on her so I can still practice correctly. Anyway, back to the form. Express your energy out of that palm, like so. And of course, you're hitting with the back side of it because it's dragging, it's striking this way when you hit it. Now, coming back to the front hand now, the reason I told you to poke your fingers forward like that is to make sure that you're doing a driving action with those fingers, okay? We do not want any kind of a sweeping action or a chopping action, nothing like that. It's a driving action, exactly the same as if you were just throwing a straight punch like so. However, the correct movement, the correct hand technique on the end of this posture, motion is the same. The whole body movement, the way you extend the arm, everything's the same. But just upon the end of the movement, you kick it over. So you're actually hitting with the knife edge here. Okay, sort of from that same pisiform bone, but along that ridge there, like so. Okay, so it's a very much the same shape each side. It's just that the front hand it's kicking that way up the arm. You see, this one, of course, is striking down towards the wrist. So you're going to throw the arm forward and drill it over. See how it twists over and pumps forward like so. The reason I don't tell people to do it like that right from their first lesson is because of James Bond. Everyone does, when you say it's a knife edge, everyone starts going like this. They start doing a chopping action of some kind because, oh, knife edge, yeah, that's the chop. That's, you know, like chopping boards and things like that. It is the knife edge, but it is a pumping knife edge. Just boom, look at that, straight punch. Throw a straight punch, boom, straight punch. Now do exactly the same motion, just put a knife edge on it. Boom, you see that? It's exactly the same structure. It just fits in really well for this specific technique. Come over here, Fran. So again, she's swinging that arm at me and boom, that's what I'm doing to her. Look at the way her body has opened up when she throws that punch. Naturally, her body opens a little bit. It doesn't stay here, of course. Her body turns to that direction, which means her carotid artery on that right side of her neck, her stomach 9 point, is right towards the front in that position. So it's exposed, it's open when she throws that strike. Sure, she might have her other hand up through there, but it's pretty hard to throw that punch and keep it right over here covering it. She might be able to do it, but chances are she's just a general brawler in the street. She won't be doing that. So she throws that strike, it's opened up. Look, it just fits in there beautifully. It's also a very strong implement, particularly for smaller people such as Fran, rather than trying to use a fist or fingers, which take a lot more training to get right. This is a very simple tactic that will work for most people without too much training. The strike to the arm, of course, is striking down the arm, as I said. So I'm taking her energy away and boom, up through her neck. Okay? So let's now try that whole first move just several times back and forth as we've been doing from the beginning, and try and get that knife edge on the end of the movement. Your blocking hand, like I said before, is at facial height, not shoulder height, facial height. It's a block to your head, so keep it up. The striking hand is at neck height, to program into your body that I'm hitting the neck. Obviously, the neck height is going to vary depending on who you're fighting. He might be really tall or really short. But when you're doing a solo form, Usually, there are exceptions to this rule, but usually we aim at the height of ourselves. If I want to train my body that this is a liver shot, well, I'll aim at that height. Or a stomach, solar plexus punch, I'll aim at my own solar plexus height. It kind of helps me to program in where those things are. If I'm going to kick to the knee, I'll be kicking to my own knee height and so on. You know, someone's knee might be up here or down there. When you practice with a partner, of course, then you're going to aim at their neck or their solar plexus, whichever point you're going for. So, meaning in the solo form at least, there will be a height discrepancy. The blocking hand will be a little bit higher than the striking hand. See that? Again, don't miss that part. That little up, the hands just tucking in. Oh, what's happening just with that little shift? And then the strike comes out with that twist. Another thing to be aware of with this movement, because the striking arm, the one going forward, it's tucking in, like I said. You see, it's tucking right in and pumping out. Because if you lift your arm without tucking it, okay, if I lift it kind of like this, with the arm, you know, going up like that, what's going to happen? If she's standing in front of me, right, she's close enough to hit me. If I just lift my, it's going to get stuck down here. I need to tuck it in. There's the clean shot, boom, and then pump it out. And for that particular type of power generation, you'll get more power as well. If my hands are down here and I try to just do that, no, you're within the motion, you tuck it in and pump it out. This action of the arm adds power to the movement. Whereas the blocking hand, don't do that. It's difficult. It's a mind-body-brain coordination learning tool as well. So this is actually a really good exercise to give to older people just to keep their brains working, along with things like brush knee twist step. We have to lift one hand and the other knee and coordinate things, left and right brain things, all of this kind of stuff. So what will tend to happen is because the right arm is pumping, or let's just say the front arm, the striking arm is pumping, it's doing a contraction and an expansion. The other arm, however, is not. You see, so the tendency is to tuck both hands in and then both hands pump out. But then if the arm, look, if the arm is doing this, my arm is now doing a pumping action. But the body movement that is connected to that is wanting to do a twisting, pulling back action. So it does two things. It disconnects my body from my arm. It also means that the power from this arm is now pushing that way. It's no longer pulling backwards. So, I mean, of course, there's always a little bit of sway in that elbow. I'm not saying it stays like a rigid bar. There will be a little bit of flop in there. But let's see, I'll do it this way. So my arm's there. Look, that's how much bend there is. Not much at all. And then the extension. So there is still a little bit of elbow extension just on the end, but it's like, I don't know, 10 or 15 degrees of change. Whereas on the other arm, it's like 90 degrees of change. It's a much bigger movement in terms of how much your elbow will move. So let's carry on again with that movement. With that in mind, one arm bends and extends. The other arm swings out like a big iron bar. Only go as fast as you can maintain your structure and principles. Don't start going super fast and then losing everything all over the place. So just keep it controlled. Okay. Remember the small Sansa, one thing I'll leave you with, the small Sansa, as I've said, it's a training tool. It's not a fighting technique. The reason we're doing this big 90-degree swivel on the heels is to emphasize the turning of the center. It's too big to use in a real fight. I wouldn't be able to go from here in a real fight and expect myself to get over there. Whoa, it's too big. He's going to hit me before then. In reality, I'd be doing something like that maybe. You see, there's the hand coming up. Maybe I didn't get quite as large a turn, but the same thing still happened. See, when you see kung fu forms, karate forms, katas, these kind of things, they're the techniques done usually exaggerated, so they're bigger than they would usually be done, and they're done perfectly. Fighting never happens perfectly. You will never see, and I won't say never, you sometimes do, but generally speaking, you will never see, I said never again, generally speaking, you will usually not see a fighting technique pulled off like exactly perfectly crisp, okay? Sometimes in a ring fight, much more likely because you know the other fighter, right? Ring fighters, competition fighters, they know who they're fighting. They know what their pros and cons are, right? They know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So you might be able to pull that off. But in a street fight, you have no idea what's going. You've been caught off guard, this kind of thing. So this technique will look something more like, what the this kind of thing, you see? But it's still the same principle. My body shifted out of the way, my center engaged, my center turned, my arm flung out for a blocking action, and my other hand boom, struck. But everything was smaller, a little bit more bent, a little bit more, oh my God, what's happening kind of thing. But all the principles were there from my training of learning how to do the center. Can you imagine teaching beginners to go like this? In some funny, weird position. You can't teach that weird, funky position. You've got to learn it from a more structured position, a more obvious, perfect sort of position to get them to understand where their structures are, where their power is. Then those things will come out naturally in whatever shape that they naturally manifest when you start sparring. So to be able to use any of this stuff, of course, you've got to put the gloves on and say, right, come on, let's have a go, and genuinely try to use it. Anyway, that's the end of our first class on small Sansa. Thank you all for joining. We'll do a little bit of question and answer just in a moment, but just for the guys watching who might be watching this on YouTube, the recording link on YouTube. If you guys have any questions, obviously you can comment and give us a thumbs up if you like what we did. That always helps us out. And have a look in the description. You'll see the details there of how to sign up to actually get the live links to follow. That way you can be more part of the class and join in with questions and those kind of things. So, and remember, it's all free for January, so it's the best time to start. And given that that is the first class, throughout now, we're going to continue with this each week, continuing from where we were. With the small Sansao in that kind of detail, move by move. We'll probably only do one move per week, something like that. Sometimes we might do two moves a week. If it's a little bit, sometimes it's a simpler move or something, we may go on to something else within the 1 week. And of course, Thursday night, same sort of thing, same sort of learning from the beginning, but for the slow form, the Yang Luchan's slow Taiji form. So, where are we? There we are. Everyone's there. Did that make sense, everyone? Any questions about what we did tonight? No? No? I've got to stop making so much sense. You get Nick's back.
Nick. Too much sense. That was the problem. You like answered all the questions we could have had by explaining it properly.
Yeah. Well, I like to do that if I can. I sometimes don't like it. In the past, I've had the sort of bad habit of stopping and talking too much about a movement rather than just practicing. But what I try to do nowadays is like, well, we need to drill the move anyway. So whilst we're drilling it, we're drilling. Why not chuck a few other ideas, answer a few questions whilst we're drilling the move? That way you're not losing anything. You're not just standing there waiting around for me to start the form again. But the good thing about that is you get your answer questioned, you get your question answered, and then get to still practice it rather than getting your question answered now after we've done all the practice. So you can do the practice with the answered question. So yeah, that's good then. Everyone's picked that up nicely. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to get ready for bed because we've got 6 a.m. start in the morning for class. So thank you so much to particularly people like Kate from New Zealand, and where is he? Adam from Australia. We've got Adam from Australia there. Who else have we got? Everyone else is from Europe. Yes, got a couple of three UKians. I didn't ask you where you're from, Sanya.
I'm in the UK. I'm in St Albans, which is near London.
Ah, I used to do some classes up in St Albans about 15 years ago.
It's a small world.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got 4 UK guys, some Dutch people, some Belgians, some Germans, some French people. Some, what are you? Swedish dude up there?
So, can I just ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Today's form, sorry, it's just quite a lot to take in. I know you taught us the basics, but it's still quite a lot to take in. What is the difference between the form you are teaching now and the form you're teaching on Thursday?
Okay, so form on Thursday, I'll just give you a little principle-wise, it's the same. It's all the same concept of how to connect to the body and all of that kind of thing. However, the slow form, thank you, darling. The slow form is a meditation.
Okay.
So it's very, very similar movements. Here, this second movement is kind of similar to what we just did, a little different, but so we're working from the Qigong level now. We're working from the slow, controlled balance of things. Learning about the body from a controlled point of view, rather than more of a momentum point of view. Like the small Sansa, you're feeling that throw and that momentum traveling through your body. Obviously, that's a little bit more closely related to the fighting side of things. It's still not fighting, but it's, you know, sort of halfway between your slow form and fighting kind of thing. So it's still more about learning to understand your own body. Whereas the slow form, yeah, we're working much more. When I teach that, we'll be focusing a lot more on how to breathe, how to connect the movement with the breath, moving the energy through the body. And as I say, just controlling the body at a very slow pace, thinking about balance and posture. But they're nice forms. They go together really well because, so second movement of the form is this, which is a representation of this. Next movement in the small Sansao is this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this. In the slow form, we get this, followed by this, and then the next part is the same, only you change directions as you do it. But you're still essentially doing that block again, followed by this technique. Again, they're subtly different into both forms, but you can still see that, oh, okay, so right, now I'm doing that block, and there's that double pung strike. Now in the slow form, oh yeah, there it is. There's that block, and then I place my foot, and then come into that double pung strike again. So the two link up really nicely. But yeah, basically the main difference is one is performed slowly, at least when you first start learning them. So the small Sansao is always done relatively quickly. It can either be done sort of the speed we were doing it today, like how we started. That would be as slow as you would ever do it. Because of the swiveling and stuff, you can't do it slow. You just can't do that kind of movement slowly. It's got to have momentum behind it. The slow form that I've just demonstrated is taught slowly, but it can also be done faster as well. But usually that's not until you're at a much more advanced level. So the slow form movements are designed from a beginner's standpoint to be done very, very slowly. So, yeah.
I can see how they're both complementary. I mean, obviously, how they work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I also ask, you know, with a fast sequence that we learn, well, you taught us today. So when you turn, so are both hands, just to clarify my own understanding, so both hands are defending. This one's pushing the arm away, and this one's kind of attacking into the
neck. Yes.
Into the neck. It's kind of, otherwise if you don't imagine an opponent, it's difficult to. It's a little bit abstract, isn't it?
Yeah.
I imagine I'm striking. I can.
So this is where
I'm finding coordination a little bit, you know.
Yeah. This is where in a normal class, if this was a real class and you were all here with me, you would always learn the small Sansa with a partner from lesson 1. Right? You don't learn the form first for 5 years and then put it together with a partner. You learn the solo, but already in this first class, we would have paired up with a partner very gently and slowly, of course, not with any pressure, but literally just to stand here like this, just drop your hands. You don't usually do it on your knees, but you know, she throws the strike at me, boom, and drop, boom, and drop. Just to sort of get the idea that, oh, okay, yeah, boom. So that's coming down the arm. This is just touching in here. And she can give me some feedback. If she feels me do this, she feels it push into the arm. So that means I'm using my arm too much. Whereas if she feels my hand, there we go. Doesn't need any power or any force in there, but if it's brushing down her arm, she can be my teacher. And I always say, whoever's throwing the punches or holding the mitts, for example, out of 2 students, you're the teacher. Yes. You're the one who can feel. You're the one, all you've got to do is stand there and hold the mitts or stand there and throw the punches. You're not focusing on any details. Yeah. So you sit there and feel, okay, what's she doing? Where's her mistake? Oh, you got to do this. You're leaning forward. You're closing your eyes. You're looking down. You can point out the errors to that person. So yeah, in the beginning, you would normally learn that with a partner, but obviously online, we can't do that. But if you do, you're bound to have someone lying around. You can just say to them, okay, I'm going to stand here. Gently swing your arm towards the side of my face. Just like try to touch. Don't even say strike. Try to touch my face like that. Just make sure they understand it's a from the side movement like this and not some kind of a straight action, because then the movements won't link up. So it's got to be coming in from the side, and then you can go, okay, so there's the strike. I've got to brush down towards the wrist and just straight towards the neck with the other hand. It'll give you even at that very slow pace, it'll give you a nice understanding of what should be happening when you're doing it. So then when you come back to class, you'll have that visualization in your mind. Oh yeah, okay, there's the arm, there's the strike, and it'll all link up a little better.
Wonderful, makes sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I'll see some of you tomorrow, 6 a.m. And then 6 p.m. as well. So tomorrow is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Both of those classes are just going to be general flow training, randomized, no specific stuff. We'll probably do a bit of small Sansa, just flowing through the whole form and things like that. And yeah, then Thursday. Do I have one at noon as well? Oh, I have one at noon as well. And that's all 3 of those are just general. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do in them yet. They're just general training classes. So there's 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m., all UK time. And then Thursday, we've got 6 a.m. And then the Thursday evening at 8 p.m., that'll be our Yang Luchan learning class. So, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you
Have a good
so
sleep.
much. Thank you both.
See you later.
Thank you. Good night.